So I'm Emma Nelson, and this is In Conversation with Jo Gotheridge, who is the author of Love, Labour, Loss. So, Jo, lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you.
And of course, we've known each other for years.
A long while. Well, 22 years, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, you've got a daughter called Emma as well, same age.
Yeah.
Which is so
very
funny.
weird. Live on the same street. Yeah.
Yeah, we really did. Meant to meet, weren't we?
Yeah, we were meant to meet.
So why is it called Love, Labour and Loss to start off with?
It was a title that just came out of the blue. I didn't deliberate too long. I've always loved Shakespeare. But Love, Labour and Lost, obviously, is the twist on it. But I think love, just to describe all the types of love that are in there. Love for my friends, obviously love for my family. Love for people that have gone. You know, I'm out about two very special people in my life, that my old head teacher and my godmother, that aren't there anymore. Labour seemed very fitting to describe a 29-year teaching career, which was wonderful but very hard work at times.
Can imagine.
And obviously the book starts with loss of my mum and dad, but then goes on to losses of different kinds as well. So yeah, it felt like quite a fitting title and sums everything up really within 4 short words. Thank you.
And I first wanted to ask, because you only just really started writing properly.
Yeah.
What actually made you start doing that?
Well, I wanted to write at 18, wanted to write all my childhood. Wrote songs, wrote poems, wrote books at 7, 8, 9 in my bedroom at home. I was all signed up to do an English degree, wanted to be a journalist, funnily enough, like you. And then got the right grades in the wrong order at A-levels. Was absolutely devastated because I was heading to teacher training college instead of doing an English degree. Obviously, 29 years of teaching later, it obviously worked out okay. But I've just neglected the writing, and I guess it was what I always wanted to do and thought it would wait till retirement maybe. But then stepping out of teaching last year to care for my mum when she got a terminal diagnosis of cancer. The first thing that I wrote, literally, other than school planning or children's reports, was her eulogy for the funeral. And I wrote for 3 hours flat. Just constantly got a notebook, pen, just wrote. And I got the bug, and I just thought, why have I not done this before? Even though it was something that was obviously emotional to write, it just completely flowed. Yeah. And then my old English teacher, which I'll tell you a bit more about later, but she was one of my mum's friends as well. So she heard the eulogy and she just said to me, you have to keep writing. And that was kind of the trigger that I needed. But being in teaching, you just don't have the headspace to do something like that. You barely have the headspace to read a book.
Yeah.
So, yeah, stepping out of the classroom just gave me space. And so then started writing to help me process everything that I'd gone through, I suppose, since losing my mum and dad. And wrote every single day for a year. I'm still writing every single day now. So that's basically it. But
you actually wrote this book, and you were saying earlier, like 8 weeks?
I keep saying 5 months, but no, actually, I wrote standalone chapters and I saved them in folders. And when I looked at my laptop the other day, it's 8 weeks worth. So, yeah, it blows my mind, really. It took, obviously, longer to put it into an order because when I first started it, I wanted it to be standalone chapters that you could just read in isolation. But then it took quite a while to put it into an order because it's not chronological and it's a memoir rather than an autobiography.
Yeah.
So, I'm told that it flows quite nicely now, but equally I think you could just read one chapter on its own if you wanted to.
Yeah, and you told that to me, and I remember reading, I read the first chapter last.
Yeah.
Because I know that one's quite emotional.
It is quite emotional, yeah.
Is that the one you started with, or?
The first chapter that I actually wrote was the one called Mum's Makeup Bag, which
I love that chapter.
Is a very short chapter. But that came from a writing group a writing course that I joined just for 4 weeks in Belper. Went along, thought I've got nothing to lose. I knew I wanted to write. And the very first task in week 1 was to think about an object that had emotions tied to it from somebody that was close to you. And because it was very early days, I'd only lost my mum about a month at this point. My mum had this makeup bag, which I still have to this day in my gym bag, and I use it. But as she was packing up to go into end-of-life care, and she was leaving her home of 70 years. The one thing she wanted to take was her makeup bag, because she was quite glam, really, and she wanted a lipstick and a mascara. And so I wrote this short piece just straight off in like 15 minutes. And we're encouraged to like share our writing in this writing course. And my friend, who wasn't a friend then, just has told me since that it's the first piece of writing that made her well up and feel emotional since she lost her mum, which was like 6 years before. So I thought, there's something about my writing that makes people cry. Yeah. But hopefully makes people laugh as well. But yeah, it was quite emotive. And it is one of my favourite chapters, actually. But that was the first.
Yeah, and is there a particular chapter that you think maybe you found the hardest to write?
Yeah. Probably the very first one, which is Mum's Final Journey, which obviously documents her illness, but then fighting for social care, fighting for diagnosis. So I've talked on radio recently about that, because obviously the care system is quite, current. And it's something that I feel passionately about, because a lot of people don't get the care they need. So that was hard to write, but I felt it was important to write. I found the chapter about me being a mum for the first time with Emma, as you know, probably one of the hardest, because it was probably one of the most raw for me. But again, I think it's important to get the voice out there and my thoughts out there, and in the hope that it will help somebody else. And the other one that I found hard was the one that I wrote involving you.
Yeah.
Because I actually interviewed you, Emma, for one of the chapters, didn't I?
Did.
Just because I wanted the book to cover a number of themes. The theme of the book is hope, isn't it? And renewal and learning from your experiences.
Yeah.
And growing and being optimistic about what the future can bring. And I knew your experience would illustrate that. So, yeah, thank you for being interviewed and sharing your story. But because it wasn't mine to tell, and all the rest of them, the stories were mine to tell, I felt I really had to get it right. So yours took me the longest to write.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so interesting to know.
Whereas the rest just literally came straight out. And there wasn't an awful lot of editing going on with the other chapters, whereas that did, because I wanted to get it right for you.
I suppose it's always hard writing about what someone else has done. And,
definitely.
You know what I mean?
And yeah, I mean, obviously I got you to check it, but it's still my voice with your story. Yeah. Which I found harder.
But you told it beautifully.
Thank you. I'm glad you think so.
You're welcome. And obviously you wrote this book in your maiden name as well. Was there a reason for that?
Yeah, it was a work colleague, actually. I was umming and ahhing about, my name's quite distinctive, Gotheridge. And I don't know, I just felt, I guess it was fear initially of like putting myself completely on the line with my own name. And I know a lot of authors do use pen names. And I think probably if I was to write fiction in the future, I probably would use my real name. But then my colleague said, why don't you use your maiden name? Because a lot of this book is about my mum and dad.
Yeah.
A lot of it is about my family home. And a lot of it is pre-getting married. So I thought, no, do you know what? Mum always called me Joanna. I was never Jo. And it just felt really right to write this one as my maiden name, to honour both of those, really. But yeah, because it's so personal, it felt right. And
you brought in, obviously you were saying that obviously it's a lot about your parents and stuff like that, and you brought in obviously your dad's photos, which is really nice, and obviously your past student and the illustrations, stuff like that. Why did you decide to do that?
It just all kind of came together, really. I suppose I just wrote these one-off chapters just to sort of process initially grief, but then the thought that I was leaving a teaching career of 29 years. So that was a big thing for me, because it is your identity. If you're a teacher, it's everything. You meet somebody, you say, I'm Jo, I'm a teacher. It's weird. So I wanted to process all that, but it kind of just happened. It was very strange, because I found the photo that's on the front cover, which I absolutely love.
I love it.
And I found it. I've never seen it before in my life. And my dad took hundreds and thousands of photographs, many of which were around the house, many of which I've seen. But this, sort of, when I was emptying the family home, I found it, black and white, and just thought, gosh, that's me.
Yeah.
And I got quite emotional, because I was a really bubbly, extrovert, full-on 7-year-old in that photo. And I just thought, that's what I want to be again.
Yeah.
And I felt like certain life stuff has knocked that out of me a bit. And I thought, do you know what? Now is my time at 51 to find her again. So I knew that had to be the front cover. Absolutely had to be the front cover. An old English teacher, actually, who's a wonderful man, did the fancy bits. So it's got the clock on it, it's got waves on it, because it's a lot about the sea. So, yeah, he played with it a bit, which I really liked, because it got the themes of the book in. And then I just wanted to use Dad's photos, because he was talented, really talented, but I don't think ever really knew his own worth. He always said he'd got a book in him. He always wanted to write, because he was quite creative. But I just thought it feels right to honour him by using his photographs. But a lot of the chapters, I couldn't find photos to match.
Yeah. And
then as the book was coming to a close, I got in touch. Well, actually, one of my ex-students' pupils got in touch with me. Taught 28 years ago, called Laura. And she got back in touch with me, and she was going through a really tough time with her own mental health. And she says, I draw for my therapy. And I said, can I see some of what you've done? And within a few weeks, she was drawing for the book. So I'd tell her I'd got a chapter on fear, and she'd do me a beautiful illustration. And you know what? Seeing her grow over this last year, and seeing her hope, and seeing her hold the book and know that her artwork and her talent is being recognised is beautiful. And then right at the end, there's a beautiful image of a tree, which my friend Claire, who is a set designer, done art all her life, did that especially for that last chapter, because I just wanted something to signify the hope and the rainbow that the last chapter is about.
And it's such a collaboration. I mean,
it really is.
Like, there's so many people involved.
There are.
What part did family and friends play in all of this?
Well, it's really hard, and when it came to publication day last Friday, I think it did feel bittersweet, because obviously I'm a small family. You know, it's me and my mum and dad, and obviously they've never got to see it. But my own small family have been really supportive of it. But actually, it was really just me and a pen and paper, and then obviously I involved you in that part of it. I had a small group of friends that read each chapter as they were being written, and some of those friends knew me very well, and some didn't know me very well at all, so didn't know my history. And I felt that was useful. There was about 10 of them, so I'd emailed them the chapters as they happened, because I didn't know I could write, and I'm still feeling imposter syndrome. But if you've got other people to say to you, that chapter really moved me, then that helped as well. So yeah, friends probably helped in being critical readers really of it. So yeah, and even ex-pupils have shaped it. You know, you suddenly remember all these people that have been in and out of your life, and yeah, it's been really, really lovely to do.
And what do you hope people take away when they read this book?
Essentially, hope. I mean, the publishers actually said it's a cup half full book, which I thought was a really nice way of describing it. And I am a cup half full person most of the time. And I am quite optimistic, and whatever's happened in my life, and I've always been really honest about this, it's like there is some stuff in there that's really quite difficult that happened to me, but I'll always see what good can come out of it, and I know you're like that too.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that whoever reads it will feel that sense of hope, and if they read it when they're not in a great place, then hopefully it'll give them that glimmer. But also, you know, I'm hoping that people, I mean, 3 men have read it and loved it, because it might help them understand sometimes what a woman goes through. So yeah, hope is the main thing, and when people now are reading it and saying you've helped me understand that, that's what it was about. It's never been about telling my story. It's about my words helping other people, which hopefully it can do.
Yeah, it's amazing, and you should be so proud that you've written a book, and as you said, you've always wanted to do
Always wanted to do it. I didn't know it would be this kind of book, which is interesting, so it has just evolved naturally, really. But yeah, I thought I'd always write fiction. But yeah, it's felt very personal, so I think this one, even if I write more, this one will always be special, I think, for that reason.
It's the first one.
It's the first one.
Do you know what I mean?
I know, I'm touching it in my own hands, I keep stroking it.
Really cool. Yeah, what was the feeling when you first saw it?
I was really pleased with it because I think you've got this fear of it won't be quite what I wanted it to be, or I am a bit of a perfectionist, well, a lot of a perfectionist as well, and it did just look right, and most people have said it's really nice. It's a nice looking book.
Yeah.
And you can read it on a Kindle or an ebook, but it won't feel like this, I don't think, because of the photographs and the images. They're so important in the book, aren't they? They really illustrate. I mean, the image that accompanies your chapter is stunning. So I would want people really to look at the real book. Yeah, I'm really pleased with it.
And what's next? Because you were saying you were doing some poetry stuff, weren't you?
Yeah. Never, ever thought I would write poetry, although my English teacher did think that was the way I probably would go. So went to see her again on Wednesday this week. And I say she's the one the book is dedicated to. So although at the back I thank a lot of people that have been very special to me, this book had to be dedicated to her because I would never have put pen to paper if it hadn't been for her. She cried when she read it this week, which really meant the world to me. Because I don't think as teachers you ever really do understand the impact that you can have on somebody, both good and bad. And she has taught me more in this last year than I ever thought was possible. And it feels like it's her mission to get me to re-embrace this passion that I had at 16. So I tried to write some poetry, sort of thought this isn't happening, and then it's kind of evolved as a natural thing, and I do really I think I like the quickness of it, that actually I can write something really beautiful. I wrote something yesterday about the Bridge of Sighs in Venice in 15 minutes. So it's quick.
Yeah.
Which kind of suits me. So the next book is going to be similar to this, but it's going to be interspersed with some of my poetry, which I thought was a nice variation. But Laura and Claire are going to do the illustrations again, and are already working on those.
Oh, I love that.
But not the photographs, because I think the photographs were about this book and honouring Dad and sort of saying farewell to that chapter of my life. Selling the family home and that kind of thing. But yeah, there's so much more I want to say.
Yeah,
I've got a lot to say.
I can imagine. But I suppose when you start writing, you start realising that there's so much more. Like, who would have thought that, that there's that many experiences that sort of shaped everything, do you know what I mean?
I think when you get to 50, everybody's gone through things that aren't great and things that are wonderful. So I knew I'd got to write about certain points in my life. I knew I'd got to write about headship, and that was a difficult period for me, and leading to me having a stroke, obviously I knew I'd got to write about that. Knew that I'd got to write about grief. But then other chapters, like the one about friendships, is one of my favourite ones. It's quite short, but it just again came from nowhere, where I talk about having winter friends and summer friends, and I've really valued friendship in this last year. And I think, your mum's one of my closest friends, and I think you just know who really you need to hold on to. When you go through things that are difficult in your life, it really gives you a perspective about who to treasure and who to hold dear. So that was a really powerful one for me, but I've got lots more to say about, those aspects. And obviously teaching, it's what I did for 29 years. So there's pupils' stories in there, and ex-pupils are reading it, and that's really special. Yeah,
and that theme of education is kind of sown throughout the book, really.
It is, yeah.
And is there anything that you would say to your younger self if you were in their position, like, going through school and things like that? Because obviously you are a teacher at heart.
Yeah, and I think I've thought a lot about this, because that girl on the front was really happy, was so happy at primary school, and like you say, quite extrovert, quite popular. And I know a lot of people can identify with this, but it did kind of go wrong at secondary school for a number of reasons, and partly being in the wrong setting. I did get bullied, and I talk about that. Maybe that wouldn't have happened in another school, but then equally I had wonderful teachers like the one I talked to you about. So it's seeing each thing that happens in your life almost in isolation, and it's a stop towards the final destination. It's a path, it's a way there. And I think sometimes you can get so bogged down in the struggle that you're having at the minute, obviously. it's a lot about mental health, isn't it? And a lot about recovery from those issues. So I think what I would just say to my younger self is hold on. You know, don't give up. It will be okay. And it is okay. And, you know, if you've got a dream that you feel, and this isn't that I regret teaching, because I loved it in many, many ways, but I thought I'd let go of that dream that I had at 18, and I haven't. And it can still happen. But I would never discourage anybody to go into teaching. I think it's the most amazing job. And the education system needs teachers like my English teacher, and hopefully me.
Definitely you. I mean, look at all the students that contributed and sort of reached out to you. That is, you know, that just shows, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, it is nice. It's a real full circle moment. And like I say, this book is always going to be special for that reason. It's just now deciding which way I go next. And there's certain themes in the book that I think there's a lot more to be said. It does feel a bit like I've only scratched the surface. And this feels like quite a simple book now to me compared to what I think might come next. Particularly ADHD, I'd say. I mean, it's very current, isn't it, that lots of people are talking about late diagnosis.
Yeah.
Overdiagnosis, which I know some people feel really strongly about. But I personally feel really passionate about raising awareness of ADHD in girls and women, because it doesn't look the same as you think it does with boys in the classroom. And I've taught lots of children with ADHD, and it didn't look like that in me. And getting a diagnosis at 50 genuinely was life-changing. Absolutely life-changing, because it explained my reaction to so many things in my life where I felt like I was kind of losing it, and I felt like I was a bit mad. And I wasn't. It was just the way my brain worked, and it's the way my brain processes times of stress. And I get it now. And it's not like a diagnosis will just suddenly fix everything. But if you work through that, which I have done, somebody was saying actually on a podcast yesterday that if you're happy and you're very content with your life, you maybe don't need a diagnosis. But I knew I was unsettled, and I knew I was getting to this point of, do I leave teaching? And I got to the point where I just thought, I'm not sure I can be healthy and fully fulfilled as a menopausal ADHD 50-year-old. That just didn't feel like a good combination. So I think it was just time to call time on the profession. And I just look after myself now in a very different way. And I'm slower and I take time. Not all the time. I'm still like a bullet from a gun. But the chapter about ADHD, there's 2 chapters, but the one called The Life of the Duracell Bunny. If you're of a certain age, you will remember an advert in the 70s, 80s that had got this Duracell bunny that went absolutely mad. And I am a bit like that. But I like that in me now, and I think that's what's made me achieve and made me want to achieve. And I loved it in my dad. But again, no diagnosis, because you didn't in those days. But there's a lot written about people with ADHD that are very creative, and that fits with me and my dad. And it's helped me understand relationships and why some relationships don't work, and that you have to just say that was for a season. And that's okay, and knowing when to let things go as well.
Obviously, you've just spoken about your ADHD and your ADHD diagnosis.
Yeah.
I just wondered, obviously, you wrote about your swimming and how that helped you. How does swimming help you? And
I mean, I think the cold, so I have a cold pod as well that I dip myself in every morning and scream very loudly. So, yeah, lots been written about women of our age, like finding really what works for them and what ticks. You know, I've exercised and tried different things, Zumba classes, whatever, yoga. But for whatever reason, cold swimming particularly does make me feel amazing. Like, it can be 10 minutes in the cold and I feel amazing the rest of the day. So it's, I think, getting to this age, or even your age, but knowing what makes you feel good, isn't it? And that's really important for us all. And the swimming, for me, even if I'm not doing cold swimming, it's the only thing still where my mind completely switches off. And that's because I have to concentrate, because I'm not the best swimmer. But I just have to concentrate on the lengths and count the lengths and just completely immerse myself in that half an hour for 50 minutes of swimming. Because even if I sit and watch telly, or even if I sit and do whatever, sit in the garden, I'm thinking all the time, because that's my ADHD brain, of what I can write. So I think my ADHD, after leaving teaching, has now just been channeled into something different, which is obviously my writing. So it's still good to have those things like swimming where I just completely switch off. And again, it's about knowing what you need to build into your life to allow you to stay well, because I'm aware that my brain is always going to work that way and I can always go into overdrive. So I think it's important to find what helps you relax, and that's certainly true of swimming for me.
And did you know as soon as you started swimming more, or was it like did you try different things? Or?
Well, that's interesting actually, because like I say, I've never been the best swimmer, but I wanted to do something for cancer research for Macmillan, because obviously both parents had died of cancer. So me being me, like you being you, decides marathon, half marathon, swim.
Let's do it all.
Let's do it. So I signed up for a swim, and I can't remember the distance now, but I had to do it over last summer, and it was a long way, and I didn't realise till I did my first of the swims how far it was. So
how far was it?
I really can't remember, but when you just think. So I know that 40 lengths of the pool at New Bath, which is the cold one, that's swimming, is a mile, and it was a lot of those. So I very nearly gave up, but I did carry on, and just, again, little bits. And that's what people have said about running, which I don't do, but it's doing it in small steps, isn't it? And gradually building up your stamina and things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I did that last summer, raised some money for Macmillan, which was important to me, but then it kind of put me off swimming, because it kind of does, doesn't it, if you do something so much. And it is really only this last probably 3 or 4 months that I've took it up again and realised how much I need it. So yeah, definitely build that into every week, because it really does relax me and help me and give me that buzz that I think I seek. Yeah. So yeah, it's one of those things that, again, I do it for what it gives me mentally rather than anything, and not being obsessed about going to the gym 6 times a week, because I think you get to an age where you want to be healthy, but I want to be healthy in here as much as I do physically.
And that's the best way to feel it.
It really is.
Some people can get, as we wrote about,
you wrote about
addiction, like people
completely
can get addicted to different things.
And I think that's the thing is getting to this age and actually liking what I see in the mirror is just such a relief, because my weight has yo-yoed so much over the years. I write about that in the book, and the fact that you can put so much pressure on what you see in a mirror, and that, and it's just such a lot of wasted energy, isn't it? Yeah. When actually what's inside is the most important thing. And that's really nice, but it's took me a lot longer than it's probably took you to discover that. Because we just beat ourselves up and about body image and what size we should fit into. And it's really nice to be free of that. But then again, that's another theme that comes through in the book, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's such an important one. I mean, exactly as you say, it can take up so much of your life.
It really can.
There's so much to live for.
Exactly, without worrying what size you are.
Exactly. Yeah. And another chapter that actually really interested me was the one that was, obviously all of them interest me, but the one about kintsugi.
Yeah.
How did you find out what that meant?
It was just a gem. I was like, I'd never heard of it at all. So, and a lot of things I'm learning is, for a writer, is about the research, and I'm really enjoying learning new things as well. But it was from my writing group, and somebody mentioned one week about this Japanese craft of taking broken pots. So if a pot breaks, they piece it back together rather than just throwing it away, which we all do, and we live in that kind of culture, don't we, where we just chuck it away and we'll buy a new one. They piece it back together, but they piece it back together with liquid gold. So the piece is just beautiful. So if you look them up, they are just the most amazing pieces of art. And I just thought, I write quite a lot of metaphors in there as well. There are quite a lot of metaphors. And the metaphor of taking something that's been broken, but piecing it back to be more beautiful than it ever was before, just blew me away. I was just like, that's exactly what has happened. And straight away I thought of my dad. And when my dad came into my mum's life, he was very, very broken from what had happened in his life. And to the point where he considered suicide. And again, I feel that was an important thing to say and be honest about, and it's not easy to say. And she really did piece him back together, along with my gran at the time, and hopefully me. And, you know, by the time he was older and we lost him, he was the most compassionate, gentle, kind, loving man. But he wasn't always that way. And, you know, he was pieced back together and he turned into something really amazing. So that was the first Kintsugi chapter.
Yeah.
And it's about repairing those cracks and becoming more beautiful than you were before. And then I felt that applied to me as well, because I've been broken at times, and I could have so easily been broken after the stroke, you know, and after I had our daughter. But it all just adds to the beauty, I think. And I think, you know, there were people that come into your life, one of which was my daughter. And many, many friends and special people come into your life to repair those cracks, don't they?
Yeah.
And paint the gold over it. And I think we're all a bit of kintsugi, aren't we?
I love that. And obviously, as you said, like, going back to the emotional likeness of it, you're saying about, obviously, you went through a lot and your whole journey's kind of in this book, you know. How did you deal with sort of writing about such, like, kind of awful things that have
Personal
happened?
stuff.
Yeah, personal things.
I found it quite easy. I think probably it's not been easy for people that it involves to read it, and I get that completely. But it is a celebration. I think anybody that's read it knows it's a celebration of what good can come out of things that are tough. But it was therapy. You know, like lots of people have counselling, I've had counselling, you know, though all those things can work. But for me, this was the best healer, really, is just to put it down on paper. And I did worry at one point, and spoke to somebody who does mindset coaching about what if people take it the wrong way. But, you know, she says it's your truth. And I think you have to stand firm in what is your truth. And I've not written about anybody in a derogatory way, or I hope I haven't. But, you know, it's all good. Do you know what I mean? And I think any of those things that were difficult are all good. And I think there's a lot to be said about maybe not being able to write at the time that something's happening. So obviously some of these things happened a long while ago. So I think you do look back, don't you, with a bit more reflection. But there are things that have made me cry when I've written them. And when I read it back, it can make me quite emotional. And I did write something yesterday that made me cry, and that is quite unusual. And it was about my dad's photographs and the fact that he can't see now how he's being honoured. But that's okay, you know, and it's okay to feel those emotions, isn't it? And it's been a really cathartic process.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has been my therapy, and it's been the way that I've worked through things. And like I say, hopefully, one of the phrases that I use on the website is, "This is as much the reader's story as it is mine," and I really hope that is true. Really hope that's true.
Yeah, absolutely. But it must have also been a lot of self-reflection. How do you think it's impacted yourself actually writing this book? I mean,
I've learnt so much about myself. But a lot of that, as I said, was tied up to the ADHD diagnosis. But also, I have had some coaching, and it's not counselling. It's about getting you to understand how you think and understand how your brain works. And look after yourself, which is so important, because I know what I'm like. And I have had cycles of burnout all through my life. What I know now is because of the ADHD, and a lot of those things that I went through were because of the ADHD. But I think the coaching has really, really helped me to... One of the things is about embracing your inner child. And I really, this keeps coming back to me because of the photo on the front.
Yeah.
And I have really embraced my inner child, because I wanted to get back to that happy 7-year-old. But in order to do that, you have to process some of the not so good stuff as well. And we've done a lot of work on reframing, which is just viewing the bad stuff that happens in a very different way. And that's been really useful. So that is something that I think will take me probably into book 2. Of how I can, you know, encourage people to embrace their inner child. And there are fun chapters in there as well, about let's go fly a kite, about doing fun things like splashing in the sea, and finding that fun in life again, because so much of adulthood can become just a bit grim at times. And, you're never too old to just laugh, laugh your way through it. So, yeah, that's really what I've learned from the process, I think.
And why did you choose to end it the way you did with the epilogue and that picture at the end?
Yeah, now I originally wanted to write a letter to my 7-year-old self on that front cover, and I have done that. But I just thought I wanted something shorter and a bit more poetic, maybe. And I was packing up the family home, ready to sell it and close that chapter of my life, and there was a lot of stuff to clear, which is another one of the chapters in the book.
Yeah.
And I used this analogy of closing the box, the dusty box, where all the things had gone. My husband had thrown things that I'd never even had a chance to look at. And that's fine. It's letting the stuff go, isn't it? The things that actually don't matter that much. So I closed the box on that period and the family home, which was hard. But then I thought, well, let's open another box then. And the new box is amazing, because all these new opportunities are opening up to me that I never thought were possible. And those things are hopeful, and those things are good, and those things make me happy. So I thought the analogy of the two boxes was really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to Belport Arts Trail tomorrow, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
And you're spreading some more awareness. Can I speak? No. More awareness about your book.
Yeah,
where can people actually get the book from?
So you can get it from Amazon. You can get it from the publishers, Austin Macaulay, who have been amazing, I will say, because you don't really know when you're delving into this. I've had to learn really fast about the publishing industry, and they've been really supportive. So obviously you can get it direct from them, and Waterstones online. Obviously be selling it at the book trail as well. And the book trail isn't about the book. The book trail is about my dad's photos, so it will be quite emotional, because he did used to do exhibitions. He did exhibitions all through my childhood, but I'd always said, having lost him, that I would do another exhibition in his name. And the images are stunning from all his travels around the world, really. So hopefully it'll bring a new audience to his craft and his art. In terms of the book as well, I think it's really, there's a lot of, what do I want to say? I want to know what people think of it in a really honest way, because I've got this sort of idea that I want people to take certain chapters that mean something to them and write about it. So almost like spreading the writing, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Not to write a huge review, but if there's a certain chapter that speaks to you, what I'd like to do is share that and say, this chapter really spoke to me because I've been bullied. Or do you see what I mean? Because I think different chapters reach out to different people in different ways.
Yeah.
And still want to inspire children to write as well. So, yeah, maybe I will write a children's book at some point. I said I was never going to write a children's book because I thought I'd done with education. But I do know what children like to read, and I do know what makes them laugh. And I've always pushed literature and books with the classes that I've taught. So with my current job at the minute, I'm in a really fortunate position where I can write blogs about education. So I'm trying to sort of spread the word about literacy and the importance of literacy, because it's everything. So that's something I feel really passionate about as well. Yeah.
And if anyone maybe sat at home, or anyone that has thought about writing a book before, what would you say to them? Because obviously you started, you might have thought you start when you were younger, but I suppose you've
it was kind of from nowhere. Yeah, it was
it
literally
did feel
from
like
nowhere.
knowing you, I was like,
yeah,
wow.
It was, yeah. And it has
amazing.
surprised a lot of people. And even, my husband and daughter didn't know anybody that wasn't the teacher. That's all I've ever been. I used to just collect notebooks, really nice notebooks, really nice pens. It's so sad.
I love that. No, it's not.
But they'd just sit there empty. I'm like, one day I'll write something in them. It is just literally starting for the first time and not minding that, I've written, my notebook is really scruffy. But I wrote everything by hand because it felt like an important part of the process, actually. Obviously typed it up afterwards. but I didn't want to just type. It didn't feel emotional in the same way. So yeah, just writing something on paper, and it doesn't matter if it's rubbish at the first attempt. And don't shut your eyes to what you might be able to write. So poetry, like you say, I nearly didn't go to the session on poetry with this writing course because I thought I'm never going to write a poem. And now I do. So yeah, just be open to what you might want to write, and just have a go. And the thing is with writing, I've read books that I don't think should have been published. I'm sure you have. Like everybody's got an audience, good and bad, and lots of people have got different tastes. I think my main fear was thinking that lots of people have written books like this. What's going to make it any different? And I still doubt myself in terms of other people reading it, not just friends and family. So it's lovely for friends and family to read it, but obviously I'd like to know that people who don't know me from Adam have read it too. And it was really nice because I got a review from America, from an author in America yesterday.
Oh, wow.
So then I was like, actually, that's what I kind of wanted, for other people to read it who don't know me at all, which is nice. But yeah, I definitely would just say, have a go. Don't worry about what gets put on the page. It is a learning process, and each time I write, I feel like I do get better. It is like practice. And the writing group that me and my friend have set up is just a joy, because every Friday it forces us to sit and write. Because that's the other thing, is giving yourself time to actually sit down and write, and planning that in. So yeah, every Friday we just sit there and we come up with different prompts, different ideas, and we're really growing as a group, which is really lovely. They're a great bunch of people, and we've become friends. So yeah, probably join a writing group is a really good way of going about it, because then you've got support, and you listen to different people's styles, because everybody's got a different style. Some are really funny. I obviously write, I'm quite emotional in how I write, I think. But then some people write in, quite a comical way, which is nice as well. So, yeah, I used to be in a book group for years and years, but actually for a writing group, I think you learn even more, which is great. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming in. And I really hope it goes really well.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you for your part in it as well. And yeah, very, very proud of everybody that's took part in the whole process. So.